I know. I read a report that apparently there in that black church in Cleveland, you were asked what you would do about black-on-black crime, and you said maybe it's time to bring back stop and frisk.
Right.
And I saw that you sent out a tweet. Stop and frisk works. Instead of criticizing New York Police Chief Ray Kelly, New Yorkers should thank him for keeping New York safe. Why do you think stop and frisk would work?
Well, Ray Kelly did a great job, and New York was not in a Chicago situation, but it was really in trouble. It was in bad shape crime-wise, and with all of the shootings and everything. And it really, Rudy Giuliani did a great job as mayor, and they really straightened things out with stop and frisk, and it was used further by the next mayor, Bloomberg, and now they just, recently, not so recently, but fairly recently, they stopped it. But stop and frisk worked. We had tremendous shootings, numbers of shootings. Now, Chicago is out of control, and I was really referring to Chicago with stop and frisk. They asked me about Chicago, and I was talking about stop and frisk for Chicago, and where you had 3,000 shootings so far this year, 3,000 from January 1st. And obviously, you can't let the system go the way it's going, but I suggested stop and frisk. And some people think that's a great idea, and some people probably don't like it. But when you have 3,000 people shot and so many people dying, I mean, it's worse than some of the places we're hearing about, like Afghanistan, the war-torn nations. I mean, it's more dangerous. So,
well, it does sound, Mr. Trump, like Chicago's going to add, I think I read 1,000 new police officers. So you got more cops on the street, but unless you give them the tools, what are they going to do?
Yeah, no, I think Chicago needs stop and frisk. Now, people can criticize me for that, or people can say whatever they want, but they asked me about Chicago, and I think stop and frisk with good, strong law and order. But you have to do something. It can't continue the way it's going.
Will you explain what that is to my folks down in South Carolina that don't really deal with stop and frisk? What exactly is it, and what are the pros and cons?
Well, there are different levels, and you have somebody coming up who's the expert on it. But basically, they will, if they see they're proactive, and if they see a person possibly with the gun, or they think may have a gun, they will see the person, and they'll look, and they'll take the gun away. They'll stop, they'll frisk, and they'll take the gun away, and they won't have anything to shoot with. I mean, how it's not being used in Chicago is, to be honest with you, it's quite unbelievable. And the police, the local police, they know who has a gun, who shouldn't be having a gun. They understand that.
Sure. Stop and frisk, for the most part, is where you give cops more power to quiz passersby if there is reasonable suspicion.
That's right, absolutely. And in New York, it took them, I mean, the numbers were unbelievably changed. I don't mean just a little bit. It was, massively changed. And it became a safe city. It went from an unsafe city to a safe city.